My name is Becca. You can find me on Flosstube here under SamBrie Stitches and Instagram as well. Today is another special episode of Interview with a Flosstuber, and I have another special guest, my sweet friend Annie. She brings joy to everybody who watches her channel, and we love her singing. So please welcome the Joyful Stitcher. How are you doing today?
Can I say hello, my Flosstube friends? Hello, Becca's Flosstube friends also.
I love that. Thank you. That was so cool. I love your greetings. You get songs stuck in my head all the time. You know that.
Yes, I have heard that many a time that I give, what do they call them, earworms to people? Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I had a song stuck in my head for the longest time because of you. So.
Okay.
All right, so we're going to get into some questions. The first one was, why did you start a Flosstube, or were there any particular motivation?
Well, so I came back to cross-stitching die hard in like January 2019. And at that time, I didn't know there were all the groups, there was Flosstube, all the things. And then about February, I found Flosstube, and therein lies the rabbit hole that we all fall down at some time or another. And I think it was honestly a little bit of a push from my husband, who said, you spend all this time watching these. You have beautiful projects. Why aren't you doing one? And I'm like, no, I can't. No way, no way. And I did it more for myself initially. I wanted kind of a record of like, what's my stitching journey? I keep it in note format, but I love having the visual. And so I truly never intended to have a single subscriber, let alone how many I have now. So it's kind of floored myself a little bit. So
yeah, Flosstube it's nice to have that record to be able to go back to like when you first started. I know you're really big into your planner too. I've started using the planner, so it's helping. So I know how you liked the organization and everything like that too. But yeah,
yes,
subscribers love you. Your channel's pretty awesome. So
oh, thank you.
Do you have a blog? This was a viewer question, and they were looking for more blogs to check out.
You know what? I actually did start a blog, and I just remembered I have a blog.
Well, you're welcome.
I actually have one. I started one on, I think it's Wix. But I kind of I think I did it with my show notes from my first couple of Flosstubes. I need to go find that now and go back and look and see, because I think I actually put quite a bit of effort into that and then forgot I even had it.
All right. Well, how did you learn to stitch?
So my aunt, Valerie, she's 10 years older than me. And when I was 16, I noticed that she loved to stitch. And one of the things she loved to stitch were Prairie Schoolers and Lizzie Kate's. And I made mention on one of her trips into Fort Worth, because she lived out of state at the time, that I would love to learn to cross stitch. And she said, sure, let's go to the stitching shop. And at the it was, I cannot remember the name of it, but it's no longer there. But we visited, and she helped me pick out a project. She helped me pick out fabric and floss. And at that time, I think I was stitching on 11 count Ada.
Oh, wow.
Yes. And I usually stitched with all the called for, which I don't do anymore, with like 4 strands over 11 count. I audit things. There were so many cross stitch sins I committed. But so doing the math on that, I've been stitching off and on for 24 years.
Wow.
So, but yes, my aunt was a driving force behind that. And I recently did a little stash dive at her house and said, hey, any of these charts? So I gathered some things.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice. I've been stitching for about that long, probably a little over 20 this year too. So same time frame. What is your favorite project that you've stitched so far?
Okay, I brought 2 to show. One is an FFO and one is an FO. And now one of them I just showed in my most recent video, but it is seriously one of my most favorite things I've stitched. And let me kind of get it so that it's not all the extra. I haven't FFO'd this one. I'm not quite on top of things like you are. But this is the Blue Flowers quilting bee.
I love that one when you showed it.
This is a beautiful piece. Now, this is not the only blue flower I finished. I also have finished Spring Acorns, which I adore that one as well. Jenny is just a genius. And so I really enjoyed stitching this one, and I just finished it. And then my other one is just a fun piece I did for my daughter for her 7th birthday. And this is from Fuzzy Fox Designs, and this is Sparkles the Unicorn. And it's on kind of an opalescent lavender Ada. And I love that the wrapped hoop finish. So I used the DMC colors, and then this was my first hoop finish. It's not great, but she loves it. It's on her wall, and it was a fun stitch. So
I love that. I didn't even think to wrap the hoop with different things. That's really
well. So yeah, this is the DMC that I used in the rainbows, and I just wrapped it around as I went. So yeah, there's actually a tutorial on an Etsy shop, Lucky Star Stitches, where I saw this, and I bought the tutorial, and I was like, okay, I don't know why I bought the tutorial. It's pretty straightforward, but it's such a fun, unique twist on it. And to use up the floss you have left. I mean,
yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's neat. So what do you enjoy most about stitching?
I'm a little bit of a perfectionist and a little bit OCD in things. I'm a planner. I mean, I like things to fall in line. And there is something so soothing about the motion of cross stitching and kind of getting lost in taking a completely blank piece of fabric and making essentially a piece of art on it. I'm a very creative person. I love every aspect of it. I love changing the colors, looking for fabrics, pairing things up, and finding new charts. I like the shopping and collecting aspect of it. There's just not much about stitching I don't love. And then just the community. The community of stitchers is one in a million. One in a million.
I do agree on that. Yeah, I love the whole process, but for me, I think the final finishing part is my favorite. Like just doing the whole finished piece, I think is.
I wish I enjoyed finishing as much as you do. I have to be in the right mindset, and then I kind of power finish a lot of things, and then I'm like, nope, that's going in my drawer, my waiting drawer. That's gonna go for later on. So
yeah, that's funny. So what is your favorite genre of book or movie?
My favorite genre of book, I love like YA fantasy, YA dystopian. I've always told my students that they're so lucky because books are written for them in such a compelling way because their books are competing with video games and TV shows and all of the other things. I said for adults, they aren't as exciting. So I really enjoy reading like young adult books. In terms of movies, I love myself a good musical. Shocking, I know. Or any kind of fun, lighthearted chick flick. I love period type things. Anything that's got beautiful costuming. Downton Abbey, obviously, is one of my most favorites as of right now. So,
Nice.
I'm kind of all over the place. Like YA books and historical movies.
And historical, that's okay. But that leads into... if you could go to a fictional place, where would it be?
Downton Abbey.
Okay.
Which is actually, you can go visit Highclere Castle, which is the castle it was filmed. Like, not the interiors were filmed, but the exteriors. But if I could join a movie cast, it would be the cast of Downton Abbey. Now, I would be a lady. I don't know that I'd be in service. I don't know, though. They kind of have some good storylines themselves. So.
Interesting place.
Yeah.
All right. If you could choose to do anything for the day, what would you do?
Oh my goodness, anything for the day?
Yep.
I would go to a cabin with a beautiful outside surrounding, like the perfect weather, no mosquitoes, and I would sit on a deck kind of like yours and just stitch.
That sounds heavenly. I think that would be ideal. Just like a cabin by the lake, but yeah, no mosquitoes, no bugs.
No mosquitoes, and it not be too hot or too humid. Like just that perfect where you kind of need maybe a light blanket, but not so cold, but not so hot. Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds perfect. I do. I like that. So do you have any other hobbies besides cross stitch?
So I have in the past done quilting. This is one of my quilts that's behind me. I'm not currently in the process of working on any quilts, but I have some thoughts in mind. I love sewing just in general. I've been sewing project bags and things that obviously go along with cross stitch. In the past, I've also been a scrapbooker, both paper and digital. And I knit, not right now. Knitting took a back burner when I started to develop some tendon issues in my thumbs, and my hands would fall asleep for 4 days after a knitting session. But cross stitch does not do that to me. So it's like, yay.
Yeah. Wow. 4 days. Of
4 days. So I was like, no more knitting for right now. So
I know a couple others that have had issues with knitting and not being able to do it for that reason. So,
but all fun, creative, crafty things.
Nice. I want to learn to quilt so bad that I stopped using my sewing machine.
You know what though? Quilting is a great way to get back into it. I'm encouraging you, because if you can sew a straight line, you can make any quilt block, basically. It's a matter of when you get to the quilting piece, like that takes some practice, unless you're doing what they call a stitch in the ditch, where you're just stitching straight along your seams. That's awesome for beginners.
Probably what I would do.
Hey, that's cool.
Yeah.
I've also taken all of my quilt pieces to people to quilt, because there's the people that have the true, like, professional long arms. And
long arms, yeah.
Yep.
I do know a few.
You can do it. You can do it.
We'll see. I don't know.
You're like, I don't need another craft.
Well, and that's the other thing, is justifying, because how much I put into cross stitch, justifying all the, I don't know. We'll see.
I've often thought, could I merge the two, and all of these things in my drawer of non-finished items, could I turn that into a quilt somehow?
You could.
Like a wall hanging of sorts.
Yeah. Colleen, the one piece that she just finished from Stitching with the Sister Leaves, she's going to put as a center block for her quilt. So I'm sure you probably could.
I just had a brainwave, because I have all these ones I'm doing with Joy on them. I need a Joy wall hanging to hang right beside me when I film.
That's what I was going to say. When you film, you need that. There you go.
Thank you for that idea.
First here. How exciting.
Yes. Watch coming soon.
Yeah.
No.
Probably not soon, I'm sure, but start working on it.
Yep.
So how would your friends describe you?
I think they would say I'm humorous. I think they would say I'm genuine and loyal, that I am creative, and that I'm caring. And I would hope they would say that about me. I think that some people who truly know me would also say you are very stubborn. And that is true. I am very stubborn. Like, it is my way or the highway.
At least you can admit that, though, because a lot of stubborn people won't admit that.
True. Very true. I come from a long line of stubborn people, and it is continuing on into the next generation. And so that is one reason why Joyfield Little One and I butt heads a lot, is because we are both like, no, it's our way. No, it's our way. So she has to bend her will to mommy's way often. But I often say that it can be a positive thing, because it means you're going to be determined and not back down from things. I try to put a positive spin on it.
No, that is a good point. Be able to kind of stand up for yourself and what you want. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So how do you prefer to stitch? Like hoop, Q-snap in hand, light, that kind of stuff.
Often and for many hours at a time.
Me too.
Do I get to do that on a daily basis? No. I stitch in Q-snaps exclusively. I have done hoops in the past. My hands cramp with a hoop now. I think that's age more than anything else, and just repetitiveness. And I stitch a lot more now than I did when I very first started. I also did a lot of in hand when I started. I'm like, I don't even know how I did that, except that I was using much stiffer fabrics. I like that tense. I like to be able to bounce a quarter off of my Q-snap. I mean, I want it tight in there. I use a 6x8, 8x11 Frankenstein Q-snaps. I like rectangle over squares. And I stitch in my recliner or in our living room. And I have an Ott-Lite that I've had for 20 years with the same bulb.
Wow.
So yes, they don't make them like they used to.
No, because I bought an Ott-Lite and it broke within a year because it's one of those bendy ones. And
oh no, I have one it's the one that's behind me in my video that I've had for over 20 years. And it weighs a gargantuan number of pounds, and it has a huge plug about this big, but it still has the original bulb, and I use it daily, and I keep waiting for it to go out.
That's impressive.
Yeah. But yeah, so I just, basically my main stitching style is frequent and for many hours if I can.
Yep, that's mine too. Most of the day is what I'm doing is stitching.
And I know you love a Q-snap.
I do love a Q-snap. Yep, only a Q-snap. So what is your favorite place that you've traveled, and did you bring stitching along with you?
So I have many places I've loved to travel. We travel each summer, this summer not being an option. The only place I brought stitching was our most recent trip over the Christmas break time when we went to New York. And I stitched a little bit on the plane there, on the plane home, and a couple of evenings when we were just kind of hanging out in the hotel. My favorite place that we've traveled over all the years is when we went to Wyoming. We went to Jackson Hole, Wyoming. It was during a phase of my 4-year-old wanting to be a cowgirl when she grew up.
That's
so we took her to Wyoming so she could ride horses and, well, be walked around on a big horse, not a pony, a big horse.
Wow.
And we went on a chuck wagon dinner ride thing, and she got to wear cowgirl boots every day. And so that probably, and just the scenery, it's beautiful weather. We travel away from the heat in the summertime.
Yeah.
I will say I've also enjoyed visiting up in your neck of the woods, up in the Pacific Northwest. So we've been kind of all over.
That's neat. Yeah, I think stitching on like planes and car rides and stuff like that helps pass the time. And then being on trips, you don't have as much because you always have, stuff going on. So
for sure.
So what can you not do without for stitching? Like your absolute go-to, besides the basics. Everybody's like floss.
Well, yeah, I need fabric, I need floss, I need Q-snaps. But I will tell you that I brought 3 things I cannot live without. One is I've had this pair. I'm a longevity and sentimentality person. I've had this pair of Ginger Snips for 20 years or more. And these are my ones that sit next to my stitchy spot, and they're the ones I use to snip all my threads. So that's my one. And then my 2 that go together are my iPad and my Apple Pencil.
Yep.
Because I stitch nearly exclusively off of PDF charts or photo scans, and the Apple Pencil with the iPad is the way to go.
Yep, 100%. I agree with you. I do the same thing in the app and just mark it off.
I was a heathen back in the day, and I didn't make working copies.
Ooh.
I really marked on all my charts. And when I was done, I wish I had some of them still, because I would have been like, this is nonsense. But I ruined pretty much all of my charts.
Oh,
and then when I got back into stitching in December of 2018, I did 2 for my mom, and I made working copies. And I was like, there's got to be something better than all this paper and managing all of this. There is. It's called a tablet.
Yep, you just take a picture, and the nice thing for me is I can zoom in on a section, because some of these patterns have a triangle going one way and a triangle going the other way.
Amen. And I don't feel like I need to do this with my pattern.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But the zoom feature is fantastic. And then I because I do count my stitches, that I highlight in one color, and then then I go back and do it. And pink is always you've done it, that's pink. And so it'll help me to tell how many stitches.
Wow, that's smart. Yeah, because you do all the magical stitches and all that kind of stuff.
I don't do magical anymore. I'm not magical anymore. I'm enchanted.
Okay, well, yeah, enchanted, yeah.
But yes, or this month I'm doing Stitchopoly with Semi-Sane. Okay. And so it's a lot of counting. But it's the mathematical in me. I love the counting. I like to know how many stitches. It serves absolutely no purpose for really anything else, other than it's kind of cool to go, wow, I did 500 stitches.
Right, because, yeah, just to keep track of that would be neat. I don't know, do you use a counter, or you just count off of, your colored
I'll show you, and hopefully nobody will get upset.
Because I know...
For instance, this is, you don't even know what this chart is, but here's my chart, and now granted, I've marked some of it in pink. Okay. But I had this marked, I needed to do 200 stitches for Semi-Sane.
Okay.
So I marked off my colors I was going to do and got my total. And then once this is all pink that's highlighted, I know I've done 206 stitches. So I front load it. I do it on the front side, and it works for me. Everybody has their own process, and a lot of people don't count stitches. Some people go, okay, I know that I can average 100 stitches in 45 minutes, and so they just time themselves that way. And I think that's a fair estimate as well.
Yeah, and I know some people use like the little counters and like apps, all that kind of stuff too.
I used to do that, and then it ran my phone battery down way too fast. And I was like, okay, there's got to be something that works better for me. Right. And that's the whole thing about stitching, is find what works best for you.
Yep. No stitching police.
No stitching police. You stitch what you want, how you want. And if somebody comes and tells you that's not the way to do it, they aren't worth your time.
Yep, I do agree. This kind of leads into how you decide on what you're going to work on next.
Oh, that's a tough one. Well, right now, I would say after Mania, I don't need any new starts. Because I'm not doing a whip count. I am not doing an official whip count till the end of the year. I will say that oftentimes it's led by the decision of if I am doing tasks for some group and I need a project to fit that task. Sometimes I want a certain style of stitching. If I want to have kind of just counting and not color changes, I'll pick a monochrome piece. It could be that it's the birthday of a piece. I started this at the beginning of May actually, and doing 30 minutes a day on my oldest whip. So for that 30 minutes, and try to get some of them off of my list.
Good plan, yeah.
But as to what I'm going to work on next, really it's like sometimes I'm just like, let me look at all the beautiful project bags. What's speaking to me today? And I have actually pulled things out, done all the counting, put in 2 stitches, and been like, nope, I don't want to work on this right now. And I go pull something else.
Yeah, because you really have to enjoy what you're stitching on. So it's not, for me, I like to do the seasonal part, but I had all these Mania plans, and now I'm just like, okay, I'm just going to grab, right now it's all patriotic, but I'm like, oh, I'll just grab this one. This one looks fun to start. So I'm like right there in the same boat. I don't like the planned. I tried it. Don't like it.
Well, and having lots of whips affords the opportunity to choose from lots of different things.
True.
I used to be a completely monogamous stitcher, and I think it's one of the reasons why when I did stitch back in the day that I would get burnt out. I can't focus on one project for too long a period of time, or I burn myself out of stitching completely.
Yeah.
And it is such a relief and a stress reducer for me, and an anxiety reducer, especially during these trying times, that I can't burn myself out.
Right. Yeah.
So
I could see that for sure, because I used to be just a monogamous stitcher as well. So yeah, it's nice to switch it up. I never thought that I was going to have multiple whips ever.
But then it happens, and it's like, hey, this is a new and different way to do things.
Well, it happened because of Flosstubers.
Well, and it's like, you see this, and you go, ooh, I need that. Well, you know, and I'm sitting here thinking, okay, what am I going to work on next? Is it going to be one of the 40 whips I have on my shelf over here, or that bucket of new charts over there?
But that's the fun part, is just looking and just picking. That's all I did this morning, just picked a new one.
Yep, there you go. There you go.
And our final question is, I want to end it on just a happy memory, is what's the best thing that happened to you so far this year?
I'm going to go outside the box here, and somebody's going to go, what in the heck is she talking about? I'm going to tell you that the biggest and most positive, impactful thing that has happened to myself and my family this year has been the coronavirus, because it has afforded us more time together. I have reconnected with my daughter. I know more about her now. We sit down to eat more as a family together. We enjoy more time together. We're spending more time outside. I got to clean my craft room office. You know, all the things that have been on I'll get to it when I have time. I now have time. So I'm getting to them. Our house has never been cleaner. I mean, truly, I know that most people would not say that that was the case, I think that being at home during this period has taught me I don't need as many irons in the fire. Simple is better.
Yep. I'm right there with you. And actually, I was having this conversation with someone the other night. The virus sucks. It caused a lot of anxiety, a lot of sadness in the whole world. But like for me, if this virus hadn't happened, we wouldn't have started the Zoom meetups. I wouldn't have met, like, we wouldn't be chatting. I would have met people from all over the world and become friends with them just in the stitching community and having my girls home. So I'm right there with you. That it's the best thing that happened to me and my family, just not to the whole world.
Well, globally, absolutely. Yeah. And obviously, there are so many negatives to the coronavirus itself. I think that, you know, I'm going to go a little bit biblical here. There is a lot of information behind how quarantine means 40 days. And you look at the power of the number of 40 in biblical and in scripture, and how, in my mind, we're being taught lessons right now through this. And while it is such a horrible time in our world, there is something to be learned from it. And everybody says, when are you going to get back to normal? Well, what is normal? And were we doing normal? And why do we need to go back? I don't want to go back to the not seeing my husband as much as I do, not having powerful conversations. I like that as a family, we're stronger by this.
Yeah.
And we found simplicity being a very positive thing. We slowed down. We didn't have dance multiple nights a week. We didn't have, all these extra commitments. So
I agree. I can totally see that for sure. I'm sure it's been a blessing for a lot of people, I'm sure.
It's the blessing in disguise, and it's a very ugly disguise, but it is a blessing, I think.
That is the perfect way to end it. I love that. That is the perfect way. So thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to do this interview for everybody.
Do I get to do my so long, stitch well, I'll see you soon, my friends. Goodbye.
Bye, everybody.